years. So, I talked about it, and then John was on Opie and Jimmy's show this morning and brought up the same subject to Opie, and I guess I listened to it, and I read a lot of stuff on Reddit and some other websites that were talking about what was said. Because if you just read the stuff, I don't think you can get an accurate feel for what was said on the radio show. And I've had this happen over the years that I've done radio. Someone will always say like, "Oh, so-and-so fucking called you a dickbag asshole and hates you." And then you listen to the clip or find out what really happened, and it was nothing. It's like, no, he didn't say anything. So that's why I wanted to listen to the break from their show before I even wanted to comment. And I saw nothing bad about what Opie said on the show. I think it was pretty fair assessment of what's been going on. I don't think this is anything out of the ordinary. When you're doing a show with somebody for that long, or doing anything, if you're in business with somebody for that long, if you're married for that long, you're gonna have problems and issues. And then when that separation happens because of a divorce or a business failure, or someone gets fired from their radio show, you're not gonna just be talking all day to each other. You're not really gonna be. You do need that time away. There was really nothing to be said after all was done, as far as me and him getting on the phone or anything. I've never been a phone call guy anyway. Could ask anybody, they'll tell you. I don't like phone calls. I don't like talking about serious subject matter. I like disposing of it as quickly as possible through a text or something. That to me is, I kind of like that. What's that?
You like Paulie.
I'm like Paulie.
Paulie hated phones.
Paulie hated phones. He didn't say 2 words. Yeah, I'm like Paulie from Goodfellas. We've had our issues in the past, like anyone would. This is not out of the ordinary. We've had our issues in the past, and we dealt with them and kept going on. There were a couple of revelations that I got from the break that they did on this morning's show, that he said after 1999, he said that, that he wanted to quit then and do his own thing. But our agent, Bob Eatman, talked him out of it. See, I never got any inkling of that, because I guess our relationship was not very good at that time. I didn't know about that. I know our relationship wasn't that good, but I attributed that to the fact that I was divorcing my wife, and had a girlfriend that would be my girlfriend for 9 years. So it was pretty serious. And I'd never felt like she was being treated fairly by Opie and a few other members of the staff. That's all. And I was very angry with that. And it was very hard to work with somebody in that kind of, fun WNEW atmosphere when you're really pissed off. And I was pissed off at that point in time. There shouldn't have been an issue with who the fuck I'm fucking, and there seemed to be. So, that all ended also, by the way, in a casino. She's the one in the casino that told me she's leaving. She left. So anyway, but for a guy, you don't want some other guy giving your chick shit. It's a cuck feeling that you don't want to have. It's like when a dog comes over and sits on another dog, showing their superiority kind of a thing. You don't want that. So I think that had a lot to do with why we weren't getting along very well. Also, going through a divorce from a fucking cunt doesn't make you the most pleasant guy. I'll accept that. And the fact that his girlfriend at the time and my wife at the time were besties didn't help the situation either. I think he might have had a bias at the time, even though he knew. I'm never going to say that he didn't know I was miserable. He did, and wasn't all for me breaking up with my wife. But I think he took a lot of shit even when he went home from his girlfriend at the time. So I think that added to the whole thing. There's not one singular thing here that you could look at and say, oh, that happened, and this is why Opie and Anthony's relationship wasn't stellar throughout 20 years. It was a bunch of different things. And then toward the end, before I got fired, I was listening to the break again today, this morning's show. Stuttering John was on, and he's never shied away from asking awkward questions. God bless him. So he was kind of quizzing Opie on the same stuff he quizzed me on yesterday when he was on this show. So he was asking about trying to get me back and what Opie and Jimmy, they're both on the show, were doing behind the scenes right after I got fired. And I've commented on this before also. There are times I think, whatever, what happened. Management threw me out, and they did what they had to do. And then I start thinking things like, hey, how far did they go? Did they go into Greenstein's office and say, go fuck yourself? We are not going back on the air until you put the show back together. So I jockey back and forth between those two mindsets, and it's angering at times. But I honestly, sincerely don't really know what went on behind the scenes at that point. Opie, from what I gathered this morning listening to the break, he's under the impression that I wanted to get away from the show and do this in some capacity. That I don't think is true. No, it's not. I would have been happy to re-sign with SiriusXM and continue doing that show. That's, what I enjoyed doing, and I would have continued doing it. I think the part he leaves out a lot is that during every contract negotiation, when our contract was up in October and this was July, so it's only 3 months out from the contract being up, and Opie was constantly during negotiations, every contract negotiation we ever had, constantly saying, fuck this, I'm not signing. I'll do something else. I don't need this shit. If this doesn't change, I'm going. Hey, there he is. It's Rob Bartlett. We'll be going out to the poker table and discussing world events and you. And, he's got the Mexican Coke. My Mexican Coke dealer. I love it. Rob Bartlett, moments away. Every contract negotiation that would come up, he would say, fuck this, I don't need this shit, management sucks. It was always something about how he's not going to re-sign. And a lot of times I was left just swinging in the breeze thinking, all right, I need a contingency plan if he does leave. And there was nothing that gave me the impression of anything different than he was leaving when the contract came up. And this past contract, it was really apparent that he was really pissed. We weren't getting the studio space that we wanted. Management had been shuffled around so many times, the changing faces of management that were going on, and we weren't getting the support that we felt we were deserved and wanted for the program, with events and remote broadcasts, the Super Bowl stuff, all that stuff. So I was under the impression he was not going to re-sign anyway, and he was going to do something else. So that when I got fired, yes, ASAP immediately dove into this project with the help of very well-placed people like Keith, and bringing on stellar talent like Rat.
All right, let's not go too crazy.
And but I wasn't under the impression that there was going to be any remnants of the O&A show left for me to even pursue trying to get back on. I didn't want to sit out 6 months, maybe a year, whatever it would take for possibly them to come to their fucking senses. And by them, I mean management, and hire me back. I couldn't sit around and wait for that. This is a proactive business. If you sit on your ass waiting for someone to do something, you're fucked. Fucked. So, we proactively put this together. It did not mean by any stretch of the imagination that this is what I initially wanted while I was still employed with SiriusXM, or why I had built this studio while I was at SiriusXM. I liked this as a fun hobby. People enjoyed watching some behind-the-scenes stuff that was happening at my house, whether it was drunk karaoke or, out by the pool or some of the parties that went on here. I just thought it was fun. Or if an event would come up on the news that I wanted to cover, I did that, and it was just fun. But in no way, shape, or form was it some replacement for the O&A show that I was gunning for. Thank God I did have this in place, but it wasn't the reason that this was in place. I'm a video hobbyist. I kind of like this medium, so that was a little odd. I didn't want to leave, and on the contrary, I was under the impression that he wanted to leave constantly. And then with this new revelation of him wanting to leave and was going to leave in '99 until Bob talked him out of it, to me, that was just another in the long line of him wanting to leave statements that were made over the years. So that's where I stood on that whole thing. The other thing that was brought up during the O&J show this morning was him going to bat for me many times, fighting my battles, as he put it. And from this, I assumed he meant, because that was all he said. I like clarification in a lot of these things. If you're going to say you fought my battles for me, or some of my battles for me, I want to know what those were. Were they with management? Were they with the staff? Were they with sponsors? Like, I didn't understand what that was. I can speculate. I know that he had to probably put up with a lot of shit from our bosses at NEW, who thought I was way off the rails when I was getting divorced. I mean, at one point, Scott Herman, who was our GM at the time, Scott Herman, he was also the GM of 1010 Wins. He knew nothing of personality-driven radio. He was a nice enough guy, but he came down into the parking garage and saw me making out with a girl. And I was married at the time, miserably married, but I was married. And I think he then went to Opie and was like, what the fuck is going on with Anthony? Thinking, if he sees one of his 1010 Wins news anchors out there making out with someone, there's probably going to be a problem. If Anthony from the Opie and Anthony show was making out with some girl in the parking garage, who gives a shit? I was miserable. And what's that? At least it wasn't a guy, right? That's right. It was Jamaican Mike from the parking garage. I was making out with him. Yeah, so, I know he had to clarify things like that with management, but I think it was over-dramatized by management a lot of times. I absolutely know I was doing my job on the show. I was going in on a daily basis and making what people over the years have called entertaining radio. And a lot of those clips and bits are out there for people to see. And, that was my job. And I did my job. So those fighting the battles, I don't know what that means. And it doesn't go one way. Like, I definitely fought battles for him with members of the staff over the years and management and the agent. It's the way it is. You're a team. You're partners. So, of course, there's going to be you're going to go to bat for who you're working with. So to say, hey, I had to fight battles for him and stuff, it's like, of course you did. I don't even think that needs to be brought up. Because, over the years, you're going to go to bat for your on-air partner. And so that was that. As far as another thing, the door is open. It's up to him. Now, that makes it sound like I have this show, and I could go back to SiriusXM, but I want to do this show. I have not heard word one about any door being open. I have heard speculation. I've heard third, fourth-hand information on chatter that some people have said. I heard from my own agent that he was going in to speak with some members of management, whether it was on my behalf or on the behalf of Opie or Jimmy. I still don't know. I've never heard anything that would give me any belief that they want to hire me back. So the thought that the ball is in my court and the door's open and it's up to me to pursue that is preposterous. And if the door is open and it's up to me, someone let me know, because I'll sit down and talk to anybody about anything. But I've never heard of the door being open. So as far as it being up to me, I don't get that. And I don't think it is up to me. I think it's just what it is. I was fired. Down the road, might there be some kind of reconciliation between me and SiriusXM satellite radio? Possibly, sure. I've been in radio for 20 some odd years. I've seen stranger things happen. I was fired by a company that immediately hired me. It's crazy. We got fired from WAAF in Boston. They had just been bought by CBS Radio. The guy that fired us was a CBS employee who then hired us at WNEW. The man that fired us, I played a CBS golf outing with him. It was stupid. So stranger things have happened. I don't, and also I don't think the president of SiriusXM satellite radio, the seat of president, is the most secure job over there. I've seen that revolving door over the years. So, one switch in the head muckety muck over there, and you never know what options might be available to me. Will I continue doing this show? Yes, no matter what. Would I make the choice if I had to choose between the two, that or this show? It will be this show. I'll say right now, if I have to make a choice. I enjoy doing this. I like being unbridled. I like that it's my show, and it's building something from the ground up is exciting. And I wouldn't have to.